The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
And here we are. We're now live on another episode of the Wicked Horror Show. And with us today we have Kevin.
What's going on, everybody?
Tony.
What is going on, people?
And would you like to introduce our guest, Tony?
I sure will. We have the lovely and awesome Catherine Corcoran on. You may know her from films as Return to Nukem High, Return to Nukem High, a.k.a. Nukem High Part 2, I guess. Terrifier, and one of the movies I just saw, well, not just saw, I saw it a couple weeks ago, but a little bit different kind of role, Long Lost, was really good. How are you, Catherine?
I'm awesome. How are about you? Well, I mean, awesome, all things considered, since we're all stuck.
Yeah, we're all well
otherwise-
right now. We're well right now, so that's good.
Totally.
Yeah,
That's-
healthy. So
exactly.
And I just wanted to make note that Long Lost is available on Amazon Prime. So yeah, for Prime members, you can log in
Yes,
right there and watch it.
great.
We got a link down below or up above, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. So after tonight's show, you're looking for something to do, everybody's staying up later, just click the link and start watching it.
Highly recommend it. I just watched it with my wife, and she was hiding her face. She was so uncomfortable and like what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And I'm like, wait.
that's the best compliment you could get for that. That it made her that uncomfortable, and it's not even like gory, which is
No,
like
not at all.
super cool.
Just like this guy, yeah. It's just it's uncomfortable. Like you just don't know where's the turn gonna happen, and like, and then like I was checking because we was getting close to the time where I had to come in here, and I was checking to see how much time was left, and I accidentally backed out. She's like, "Oh my god, there's only 4 minutes left. Go back." And I'm like, "All right, calm down." But yeah. So like Tony had said that these going between Terrifier, or the Trauma, Return to Nukem High stuff, and this one, completely different kinds of movies altogether. So do you want to maybe get into like your history a bit? Like you've done other kinds of movies as well, but how long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been performing since I was a little girl, but I guess acting professionally since I was young too. I started doing theater when I was a kid. The policy at the time was when shows would come, tours like off Broadway and Broadway tours would come through towns, they would double cast and recast kids as they went through. So I kind of just started doing that when I was younger, and then as I got a little older, I wasn't so cute anymore, so like that didn't work out, and I started taking classes, and I really loved it. I actually my parents were like very much encouraged me to be like starkly independent. So when I said to my mom, I really want to do this, I want to take like more classes and learn to do this more seriously, she was like, okay, do it. So I made a list of talent agencies, and I cold called them from our house phone. I must have been like 12, 13 years old, like on the phone pitching myself. And most people like agents like hung up on me. They were like they're like, this is a prank. And then one woman, her name was Edie Robb. She talked like this. This is how she like Ross's agent from Friends or something like that. She talked like this, and she was like, so she listened to my whole thing, and she was like, listen, how old are you? You sound young. And I was like, I'm like 12, 13, however old I was. And she goes, all right, listen, this is a 215 number. You're from Philadelphia? And I was like, yes. And she goes, okay, my husband, he runs an acting school. Go on Friday, bring your mother, I'll meet you. So I go, we go to the class, and I read for them, and that became my first rep. And I took classes there on the weekends, and then I started taking classes in the city at Lee Strasberg. And so yeah, I was working professionally when I was a teenager, because they'd send me out, and I'd book like commercials and little like co-star stuff on different TV shows. And so by the time I was really lucky, by the time I moved to New York for college, I was already repped and working, and it kind of just went from there. So I was doing like little co-stars on TV shows, like kind of what you do when you're starting. So I did like Gossip Girl, and I did this show called The Good Wife, and a couple other like little shows, and then but I wasn't starring in anything, it was just like a day here, a day there. And I saw in the breakdowns, I was like 19, I saw the breakdown for Nukem High, which is the Trauma film, and so I went, and I got really lost. I was like an hour and a half late because their studio's in Queens. And I remember walking out of the audition, and I thought they were just like, I hung out with them for a while. That was the audition. And I walked out, and I remember calling my mom and being like, I don't think I got the part, but they seem really awesome. Like maybe they'll let me intern for them. And I that was my first lead in a feature, and it went to it was just like it was like film boot camp, and I learned so much. And then on top of that, like the icing on the cake was it was in the Cannes Film Festival, and it was in like MoMA's Contender series with Wolf of Wall Street and Blue Jasmine. And then like after that, like because Trauma kind of straddles this like really nice line of comedy and horror, I started just getting a lot more genre work and little comedic work, and it kind of just went from there. So yeah, I mean, I've been super lucky that I just kind of followed this like really interesting trajectory that just like felt right.
Yeah.
In these
So
moments.
you can like, you know, one day you'll be on that list of like gigantic celebrities that like, you know, had their first feature or first like major role in a Trauma movie.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't my
There's a ton
first
of them.
feature
I,
film, but it was
but I mean, as far as like
definitely
starring role, right? Like where
yeah,
you,
it was my first starring role. And everyone, I actually like it was definitely a tough choice too, because I mean, the film itself, it's still a provocative film, but at the time it was like even, I know it sounds crazy, but it was even more provocative because gay marriage wasn't legal in the United States yet. So and it focuses on this like lesbian love story, and Lloyd is brilliant in that he makes fun of everything except for the thing that he's actually, you know, trying to make a statement about, you know. So obviously like the entire film is a metaphor for our food industry and Monsanto, but then this like love story is the only thing that he like doesn't really touch. It's just like it's not a question, they just happen to be gay, that's it. There's no like, and at the time that was kind of a big deal because I know it sounds so crazy because gay marriage is legal, but it wasn't that long ago that was something that people were not doing readily at all, and Lloyd was really pioneering that. So when we did that film, and it was in Cannes, that was the same year that that Blue is the Warmest Color was in Cannes. So it was cool. Actually, we did like a weird street performance. We were trying to get people to see the film. So we're doing all this like street theater and like guerrilla marketing, like total Trauma style.
yeah.
And we staged this lesbian wedding ceremony on the Croisette because France had legalized gay marriage, had made gay marriage legal like 5 days before. And we told the festival that we were going to do it, like their press office, and they were cool with it. And then we got stopped by the quote unquote French intelligence. Told that they were afraid that there were going to be like riots, they said. And it was crazy because there was all this press and this huge crowd like already there because it had been announced. We handed out invitations to the police that morning. Like it was like a crazy thing. And so we get stopped and we're like, well, what are we going to do? And so my co-star and I, Asta, we laid on the ground and we like kind of impulsively kissed in the symbol of the festival. And of course that image got way more coverage than had they just let us do the wedding in the first place. And people were like, this is ridiculous, like it's not even a real wedding, like there's no papers involved, it's just a ceremony. So eventually like the festival caved under pressure and they let us have it inside the Marché, which is like where underneath where the big like theater is there. And so it wasn't as big a spectacle, but Le Figaro, which is like France's New York Times, covered it, and they called us the first lesbian wedding in France. So technically, we are.
Do you have a copy of that newspaper?
No legal papers, but we're the first lesbian wedding in France. So I mean, it's a cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah, and then you go to Long Lost, and you talk French in that movie.
I do speak French in that film. It was actually written as Japanese initially, and that wasn't gonna happen in the time that we had. I could not do that. But I do speak some French, so I did a translation, and I called actually a friend who I been to Cannes with and has done some work with Troma just to make sure my translation was on point. And he said it good right before that scene.
Well,
yeah, we've actually. Sorry, go ahead, Leo.
No, I was going to say we do have the trailer for Long Lost. We have a couple trailers we'll be playing throughout the evening. Would you like to introduce Long Lost?
Sure. What do I get? How should I introduce you? Should I summarize or like
Sure.
how do we do this?
Basically, yeah, if you just want to give a brief description of Long Lost, and then we'll go right into the trailer.
Okay. Long Lost is the story of two estranged brothers who were half brothers who reconnect one weekend in a mansion. But when they meet, or when one of them meets the other brother's live-in girlfriend, he starts to question his reality and realize that not everything is as it seems. You can't see the jazz hands that I did if you're listening, but I did some jazz hands.
Oh, this is video as well.
I guess there's a lot that I don't know. Not really. Dad left, married your mom, and had you. Lost all his money in a pyramid scheme and put a pistol in his mouth. And now you're here. It's good to meet you, brother. Seth, this is Abby.
You know that NDA sign?
Yeah?
I have one too.
Then why would he bring me here?
Because he wants to know you.
Once my mother died, our little nuclear family was broken, so on to the next.
Brother Bear, hop in. I can't play sharks and minnows by myself. Richard, did you just bring me up here so you could bust my balls?
Ooh, tough guy.
Richard.
Seth, I want to apologize if I came off a bit strong last night.
Which is a lot more fun when you're not sober.
I don't know what his deal is, but I'm not staying here to find out.
You gotta give me a chance to make it right. Take the money.
Give him a second chance. Just pretend like he's not the creepiest human.
I'm just trying to help Seth.
Abby, you don't have to be here. You know that, right? You don't have to be in this house.
It's complicated.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi,
Dreaming. Wake up.
10
Wake up. Oh,
Mississippi.
God, no.
Ready or not, here I come.
And there we go. That was a trailer for Long Lost. And if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it for free. Well, the cost of your Prime membership.
Right.
But the link's down below or up above. Just look for the show notes, and it's all right there. During the trailer, we were talking about Lloyd. We had him on the show a bunch of times. And you talked about how everybody was so nice at Troma. It seemed like, everybody we've interacted with, even at, the booths, and Lloyd, they're just so nice over there. Just a great group of people.
We saw a premiere somewhat of Return to Nukem High up in Buffalo at a film festival that Zach Amico was actually he was doing the whole and because he's in both of them, and he's doing Shakespeare Shitstorm and stuff with Lloyd and everything right now too. But yeah, so I'm a big Troma fan going back in the day. So it's awesome, and I'm one of these days I'm gonna make it to the office. Hopefully this whole Corona thing is done soon, and I can go down there and be like, "What's up, Lloyd?" I won't shake your hand because
No, it's awesome, and everybody really is. Zach is the best, and what's so cool about like the environment that Lloyd creates is that like you really do become this kind of weird dysfunctional family. I mean, I've been in weddings I'm still very close with a lot of the people that I lived in that funeral home with when we made, and that's not a lie, we did live in a funeral home, when we made Nukem High, and I don't have that I have that with some films where I'm super close with people, but not like collectively and for that long. I guess we'll see, things that, as things like span the test of time, but I mean, like I've been in weddings for them. Zach Amico was just at his wedding this summer.
Speaking of Zach, though, I just realized I had this sticker of Zach sitting on my desk. That's from because he's on Real Ass Podcasts with that. I listen to it all the time. So
he also has a horror podcast now. I think it's
Yep.
like called Zach Amico's Spook Show. which
yeah,
is-
Midnight Spook Show. Yeah, but it's him in comics just talking about horror movies. Yep.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
He's the best. He's seriously, and I think he's one of my favorite people in the whole world. And I think there's like, I think
And he's hilarious. He's also hilarious.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
very
true.
funny. Yeah, he's
There's-
brutal, but he's hilarious.
Well, I think there's also this like, I don't know, this kind of camaraderie that comes when you do like truly indie films like that, and everyone's so passionate about it because you travel across the country. Like Zach and I have driven back and forth to Philly, here upstate. We've gone to France together. We've lived in funeral homes. It's just kind of like, and not just Zach, like we've traveled with like our friend Doug Sackman, who's like another filmmaker who went through trauma and comes back all the time. He has like a refurbished school bus that he travels the country in, and like it's just, I don't know, you could do these like crazy things, and that you kind of amass this interesting tribal mentality, and you really do become this weird like family. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, trauma seems fantastic, and I just the amount of people that have come out of trauma, or people that, like, cut their teeth with trauma. It's great. Then you go on from that, and then you're in Terrifier, which Sorry, Tony, you were gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna. I mean, I was gonna harp off your, from trauma, which is, trauma is trauma. You got your, I don't think I've ever seen anything serious come from trauma, but you know what you're getting from. And then Terrifier, it has its bit of comedy every once in a while, but that is just like in your face, like horror.
Brutal.
And it's one of those movies that now, I mean, it just came out, not too long ago, but it already has that cult classic label to it, because I mean, you got celebrities like Chris Jericho. I know he was one that was like pawning for it and stuff, and then it just took a different life of its own, I guess, because in the beginning it got, I don't want to say got stuck, but it was around the time where you had every clown movie, horror movie out there, but then it kind of took that next step into like, now everybody's talking about it. It's just like, you see Terrifier, you see that clown movie, you see, and then of course you have there's one death scene in every horror movie that everybody harps on, and I think you have the this thing.
Yeah.
We've been told that's the first time in horror movie history that death has actually happened. I don't know what the truth is to that. I mean, like, I don't know what is like the gamut of horror movie history, like if there's some weird like somewhere scene where that happens in this like weird VHS tape in someone's basement somewhere. But if that's true, I mean that's a pretty awesome thing to be a part of.
One thing that I knew that it was out, but when it hit Netflix is when it really kind of blew up.
Yeah.
Because it was just it was like right on. I remember going on Netflix and it being on my suggested because of other things I've watched, and I was just like, "What is this?" And like I had heard of it. I'm like, "This is on Netflix." So okay, and then it's just like no one wasn't talking about it in my whole loop of people,
Oh, wow.
and it really took off.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say, and then we had that weekend at was it Scaricon with
David,
yeah.
And and he's fantastic at the cons. Like he's he's great, and he does the full makeup. And there's still videos of Scaricon, the one we were at, where he's like just sneaking up behind people and like trying to get them to look at him, and like some people aren't even scared.
Oh, in full makeup, it was insane.
I guess there's video somewhere. They were in the elevator going downstairs, and it was someone in the elevator not paying attention. He was just like this close to their face, like waiting for him to realize who it was. And I don't know if it ever happened, but yeah, he just completely sells it. Doesn't speak a word while he's in makeup, and which is great.
So opposite from it. I mean, he came on here and he was just doing voices and all this stuff, and it's just like, how do you go from that like so energetic to a character that just not one word, not one. It's just facial expression and all this stuff. So.
Yeah, it's funny that like you're saying that because Tony's been so awesome. I've been doing during this like quarantine period. I've been raising some money for a few different charitable organizations just in like a silly way from where I'm at. And I thought about bringing some of my actor friends on, and a few of them had like reached out and just creatives wanting to do it with me. So I did my first one with David. He was the first person that I wanted to bring on because he's so good with voices and things, and people don't realize that like David is an amazing voiceover artist. Like he does all sorts of animation work, and then other also he has a huge theater background. Like we talked about last night that he did the Broadway tour of The Grinch, and he was the Grinch, and like all this crazy stuff. So it totally lines up, but people don't realize because they're so used to this like silent person. It was so funny because you were talking about Chris, and like Chris Jericho texted me afterwards and was like, oh my God, he's like a living cartoon. Like people don't realize, how charismatic and funny he is, and like he's the best. He really.
But, even to pull off like, because he's a silent clown, but like he totally pulls off emotion and stuff in that makeup, and it's just like not too many people can do it. I mean, you have I'm forgetting the other dude's name who's in like all the like Hellboy and stuff like that. He was in Shape of Water, but he can emote like makeup and stuff too.
Yeah.
But like,
what is his name? Jenna Cannell, who plays Tara in that film in Terrifier. It was funny because both of us, we're actually a lot of that film, unless you're seeing us side by side, we weren't filming together a lot because it was just weird, the timing. Like I was on that film, I was on 100 Acres of Hell, and then I was on Chuck, that film we talked about before with Jim Gaffigan, Liev Schreiber, and Elizabeth Moss. And then she was on this other film, Bye Bye Man, with that actor. And she was like making comparisons to the two of them. Oh, I have to. I
think Leo's looking it up right now. I'm not positive.
Yeah, so brilliant. But it's true. Like so much of what I think makes Terrifier so compelling and why people really gravitate to it is what David did with the character. He brings this like extra level of eeriness with the physicality, but also playful comedy that I don't know. I mean, you'd have to talk to Damien and David about this, but I don't know if that was initially there. I think like that's kind of happened as
that's the one thing when we had David on, I realized. Sorry, what was that, Leo?
Doug Jones, by the way.
Yes, Doug Jones.
Yeah.
So when we had David on, I first time I talked to him, I told him I didn't realize that because All Hallows Eve was like a short that had Art the Clown in it before, and it was a different actor.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this guy really took it up like a bunch of notches, like between All Hallows Eve and Terrifier. I'm like, wow, this guy really, and I didn't realize it was a different guy.
Yeah,
but
he's an actor.
He really I agree with you 100%. He's what makes the movie, and like, there's people dressed up like him at the cons.
Mm-hmm.
I know I think there's a toy coming out. I think there's an Art the Clown like figure or something coming out.
Yeah.
And like eventually NECA or something will probably jump on that.
I think it's already been announced. I think there was a photo of it at the Toy Expo or something.
Yeah. Chris and I took the picture with it. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
That was cool. I think that's when I started. I don't know. The first moment I knew it was something, because when we were making it, I mean, we knew it was a cool movie, but I don't think we knew the extent to which, especially when you're making these like these indie films, you're just like, okay, like, and everyone's, and like they were so great about like accommodating everybody's schedule, so it was just kind of like, okay, we'll see what happens. It didn't do, most indie films, especially indie horror films, do this like festival circuit, right, where they like build this traction, you get distribution. We only did they did a test screening at Telluride, I think it was. Maybe it was a different one. And then but then when they really premiered, it was at the Lincoln Center Film Festival in New York City. We were the opening night film, and it sold out. So to put that in perspective, it's like a horror film, like a gory slasher film selling out Lincoln Center in New York City is just crazy. People were sitting on the floor, on the stairs, like that's just like not something that happens. Yeah. It's like a prolific opera house, and I mean, and so that was like the first time I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And then after that, like immediately after that, Epic Pictures and Dread Central picked it up. And so it was immediate, like that. The first place it went was Netflix. It didn't it's just a weird trajectory for a film, because that's just not the normal route for indie films. It doesn't happen that fast. It's like a very slow build. Then so like that was like the first moment I was like, whoa, this is something interesting. And then when I really knew it was crazy was like that year it came out on Netflix. People have dressed up as some of the characters I've done before, but never like this, where people were like posting their Halloween party costumes, and it's Dawn and art like everywhere. This year some person even went like next level, and she wore a nude suit with like that she had done like the wound all over her body. I was like blown away. It's just crazy, and like it's everywhere. Like I've never seen anything like it before. When I do the cons, people come and they're dressed as like female versions of art, or like the male version of Dawn, and they have like stuffed animals that they've made. Their dog is dressed up like it. Like it's just not something I think any of us ever anticipated.
Well, the good thing is that hopefully you enjoy it, because it's probably one of those things that it's never going to leave you. Like you have like, I mean, that's not a bad thing, obviously, but like I still like get all like gushy over people that are in movies that came out in the 70s.
Well, I mean,
they're at a con because of that. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is my favorite horror movie.
Well, you mentioned Felissa Rose. I mean, that Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
So I wanted to back up just a little bit. You said the first episode of that series that you're doing, and I just want to make sure I have the website right. Disasterphilanthropy.org.
That was one of the main organizations that I've been raising funds for, but I've done a few others. It was really just it just happened like organically. I did it one night just for morale, and was like, I really love this organization, so I'm going to try to raise some money for them. And as soon as I did it, people started reaching out, being like, when are you doing this again? And I think like some like publications started writing about it. And so it's kind of like an ever evolving thing, but basically I go on and I read children's books for adults.
Very entertaining, because I was laying in bed one night and I'm like, usually I'll sit down and watch a movie to put me when I'm just laying down, and I'm looking through Instagram and I see a live, stream, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, you're reading a book, but then you take your spin on it. And she also, to, I guess, this tough time, you look out for your local businesses and stuff. So showing off some vodka and all this stuff. I'm like, this is, one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So
it's been like just kind of like an organic thing that's just like happened. But yeah, Disaster Philanthropy, we've raised over $7,000 for. And then I've also done, so like last night, David and I read for Longevity, which is an organization that provides assistance for those battling lung cancer or lung cancer related ailments. So right now they're at extremely high risk, and it's really really hard to get the attention that they need. So we did that, and like one night I read for a couple music organizations for musicians and freelancers, and I don't know, it seems like, knock on something, but it seems to be making some sort of positive difference, and I think that's all you can ask for right now. And so, and I think I don't know, it's silly. A lot of my friends come on and boost morale, but I don't know, it seems,
I don't think it's silly at all. No. I mean, that's the thing, is there's a lot of like, there's a bunch of other groups that are doing this, like similar kind of things, I guess. Like I just heard that there's like ones with stand-up comics that are just all getting together, and it's to raise money for other comics that can't work. Like bigger comics are raising money for smaller comics so that they
I love that. Yeah,
will be comics when this is all over,
Yeah, and I mean, I think like I at this time, in particular, while it's stressful for us and scary, how lucky are we that we're in a position where our lives, while uprooted, are not that much different. We can still come together and do things like this and talk about entertainment. And when this is over, we will be able to go back to whatever, our normal lives, but not everybody will. So I think if you're in a position right now where you can shed some light on that, or even just kind of come together in a sense of community and make people laugh. I mean, today I just checked in, I posted something just to see how everyone was doing, and I was, honestly, it was a little heartbreaking how down people are feeling. So I think the most important thing right now is just that we're connected and we're there for each other. And how cool is it that it's actually shedding a light on platforms like this, shows like this, where we're interacting and talking in ways that, we probably wouldn't have been even 2 weeks ago, because everyone's schedule is so crazy and everyone gets so caught up in the day to day.
But the thing I look at it too is, I mean, think, 50 years beforehand, if this happened, now we have the beauty of, I mean, technology has, its ups and downs and stuff, but technology, like years ago, we wouldn't have been able to do this. I mean, people still have a platform. I mean, they're not getting paid and stuff, but, just to entertain everybody. Like my buddy's a DJ, and he goes on Facebook Live and he'll do like a set.
Yeah.
Just to, boost, some people are, stuck inside and stuff. And it's just like, any small thing you can do, is better than doing nothing. So, like I said, I've watched almost every single one of your lives, and it's just,
I love that. Thank you so much.
It's a fun, it boosts me up. I'm like, oh, okay, here's another live. I wonder what book we're reading today, and what spin on it you'll take, because it goes from like a kid's book to like not so kid's book.
You change things about the book, or like what does it do?
I mean, kind of. It's very like interactive audience participation. I think so the first time, like I just basically, it was like what books I could find in the house I'm in right now. So I found like The Little Legend That Could, and if that's not a metaphor for the female orgasm, like I don't know what is. And if you like read that book out loud and don't start like thinking that, you're gonna like I think I did. So I was like thinking about it like as I was reading, and I just started like saying what I was thinking, and then like I don't know, it's kind of just gone from there. So like we read like I don't know, Rapunzel a few nights ago, and we were like I don't know, just like making up things about like the prince and like social distancing and like just stupid silly things. But like they're also like, I mean, I did All the Places You Won't Go, because I found All the Places You'll Go by Dr.
Where
Seuss.
the Wild Things Are.
Well,
The what?
I said Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah, we did see Where the Wild Things Are. Yeah.
I got a couple suggestions for you, but before we do that, I'm going to take a quick break. Speaking of supporting local businesses, this is one thing we definitely want to urge you to do is, in this time, of craziness that we're in right now, now is the time that we really need to support our local businesses, because quite frankly, some of them won't be there when we get out of this. So, if you enjoy your local restaurant, if you're doing curbside pickup, your local comic shop, Sarge's Comics here in New London, Connecticut, they do delivery. I'm going to place another order to have some stuff delivered. I'm getting Batman Year 2 with the McFarlane covers.
Okay.
He got them set aside for me. And also for coffee, there's a local roaster that sponsors our show, Deadly Grounds Coffee. And, what did you drink any today, Kevin? No.
No, I don't have any. I have to order some. Actually,
Now's the
they're
time.
usually at that the New Jersey HorrorCon.
Yeah, I've seen them at FairCon too, I think.
Yep.
I love them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah, they're fantastic.
So if you want the most amazing coffee you'll ever drink, head on over to getdeadly.com. And here's Father Evil talking about coffee.
Rise and shine, my sinners.
And when I come back, I got
When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little
I was saying,
deadly.
put up like an Amazon
Deadly Grounds
wish list.
Coffee has the richest,
People keep
smoothest
saying that,
flavor
or they're
you'll
like,
find
"What's your
anywhere.
Venmo? Like, can we tip you?"
It's
And I
sinfully
just don't.
delicious.
I'd rather like the funds
Once you go
to
deadly,
the charity
you never
or
go
like
back.
the local. You know what I mean?
Order
But
yours
this
at
is-
getdeadly.com.
David had a copy of the Grinch.
Coffee's so
what
good,
we did was we,
it's scary.
scanned it, and so I had a copy, but he had like the real one. I don't know, so I'll play around and see like what I can find for free. I found this giant book of fairy tales that's like really awkwardly written in this house. So I have to get up in like the attic in the next like couple. I'm running out of things. Like there's certain books that I'm like, this is interesting, but I don't know. Like it's just like ones that my mom has like held on to. So it's like one of them is like The Stinky Cheese Man, and I'm like, what is this book like, that we have?
So there's a local author, and actually I'll put you in contact with him. Maybe he can send you some PDF copies for
Yeah,
you, for some promotion and stuff. So Sam Miseradino, and we met him at a local convention. Awesome guy, but he wrote "If You Give a Bear a Bong, If You Give a Bunny a Beer," and he just released "If You Give a Kitty a Cocktail."
Oh, like that sounds like they're talking about me.
So there is children's books made for adults. It's hilarious. I have "If You Give a Bear a Bong" and "If You Give a Bunny a Beer" myself.
I love that. Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to. I think like it's just like such a fun, silly thing to do, especially since like other people are reading children's books like for kids at night. I like have one for the adult viewership.
You put Tony to sleep all the time. It's great.
No, yeah, actually, and the way she ends it, you play a song and.
I do. Oh, Tony, you're the best. I have I put like a playlist together for my friends. It's like ongoing now because people keep giving me suggestions. But it's like the most extensive coronavirus playlist you will ever find. Oh, awesome! It's like the most extensive coronavirus playlist ever. And it's like 36 hours of coronavirus music.
Wow.
And like, so I pick a song from it every night as like the outro.
I'm assuming it's multi-genre. Obviously,
yeah, it is. It runs the gamut. It really does. Shuffle is the best way. Some are like really funny, and some are awesome songs. So you're like, I get it now.
I just joined the early 2000s, and I'm using Spotify now, and all the songs I'm liking. Yeah, all the songs I'm liking, I put on shuffle, but it's like, it doesn't like it. I don't know. Like there's so many songs. I sit here for 8 hours a day, and there's songs that I know that I've liked, and I just never hear them. I don't know.
Interesting. You think that like it's not picking up the software to.
Are you using the paid Spotify?
I'll see what I can do.
I'm not paying for Spotify.
No, if you pay for Spotify, you can get like the family plan, which I have for me and my wife, but it allows you so much more control over like your playlist and everything.
Yeah, but convince my wife to let me pay for Spotify. She's gonna make me get rid of Shudder. Is what she's gonna make me do.
Okay, I say stick with the Shudder. Given
I agree. I have free Spotify and whatever. I'll just find the song. But anyways, I'm assuming we're back.
We are back. Yeah.
Right. So with Terrifier being the success that it is, and like you said, like when you finally realized, but we had talked a little bit before the show about like you doing cons and stuff. Has it you've done some for Trauma, but have you done any for Terrifier?
I have now. Yeah. I mean, I was getting asked to do them for. Now there's cons for everything. Like I've done some Christmas movies. Like I run the holiday gamut. If you haven't
I know. I think my wife says that she actually thinks she knows you from a Christmas movie. So.
Yeah, probably from Hallmark.
She loves Hallmark.
But which shameless plug, they're playing all their Christmas movies right now.
They do it all year round.
I don't know what time is anymore. Like they already play them twice a year in the summer, and it makes no sense. But yeah, so there's like cons now for that are like Christmas.
They have one in Jersey, like around that, like December or something.
Yeah,
so,
it's crazy. So like I had never done a formal con up until very recently because like, and I'd been at New York City Comic-Con and things like that. But only because I had films coming out. So like Trauma would have something coming out, or like I did this boxing movie, Chuck, that was coming out, and like just things that like they were promoting. So you go and you kind of do like the panels and like the press junket kind of thing. And it's very, I don't know what every Comic-Con's like, but like New York Comic-Con in particular is very like straightforward. It's like you're in, the booths are for the production companies. There's no real like signings unless you have like the photo ones. And we were doing that as a cast, and everything else is you're in, you do the panel, and you're kind of out. It's you don't get to really interact with the fans as personally. And I don't know, we talked about this, I was just so hesitant to do them. I think I was just nervous that I wouldn't, and I said that I wouldn't be good at them. I think, I don't know, I'd never been on my own before, so I was just like nervous and a little overwhelmed about it. And so like I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll do it. And then kind of, you know, things would come up and I was like, oh, I guess it's not supposed to work out. And then I finally did one for the first time in October. And it was like the Terrifier cast, but it was kind of like just encompassing, and I loved it. I just felt like the sense of community was so cool, and it was so cool to meet so many different people from all over the country, all over the world even. And what I talked about was like, we did that panel, Barbara Crampton, Felissa Rose, Jenna, you know, from Terrifier, and myself, which was the Women in Horror panel. And it was like by far the most attended panel at the entire convention. And people were sitting on the floor and like in the hallway, and it was so different to even the panels I'd done in the past about the films, because when you're doing a panel to promote something, you kind of have these things you want to hit when it's coming out. It's all kind of the same questions. And when you do like a press junket, it's the same thing. You're in a hotel, you're in a room, like in a hotel, and you know, or a conference room, and you just all day get the same people coming in, and they're asking relatively the same questions. But this was such a like larger, overarching, informed conversation about what it is to be a woman working in film in general, and but again in about genre in general, and the types of stories that they tell, and what that means for women and for sexuality and for so many things. And it was just so powerful. And even after that, like I got to talk to people who were in the audience, and it was just so cool. And I love that genre in particular, but also like the horror community allows for this really supportive connection in ways that I think now everyone's catching on weirdly with this pandemic. It's like we've been preparing forever because we make movies about them, but like now everyone's kind of catching on, and somehow there's this like beautiful sense of community that's happening, and I just love that. I love that about them, and I like that everyone seems to be catching up. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like a big "I told you so." Like, look at all the movies that were made.
So you see, metaphor. I was joking. I was like, this is gonna bite me in the ass. I know it, but I was joking with a friend. I said, you know that film? Well, no, I mean this is like the generic review. But you know that film? It's really obscure. It's not really obscure, but The Happening. It came out like 10 years ago. It was like an M. Night Shyamalan.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, no. Right. And I know this because I'm from the Philadelphia area originally, so like it filmed down there. And like it's actually in concept like a really great idea that like the Earth has evolved to such an extent that like humans as its predator, like they have to combat against, and like so there's this airborne like virus that's killing people, but like the way it was executed is like just not so great. Like that was the general review of it. Is like they're like running in the wind, and Mark Wahlberg's like, oh, run from the wind, and they like kill them, so it like doesn't work. But like I was like right now coronavirus is like as if someone executed The Happening correctly. It's like that's this like weird airborne virus that's just killing off humans. Like the Earth was like, yo, take it back.
We've had about enough.
Well, you know, they found that some Amazonian tribes that have like very little contact with the outside world have caught it as well. It's just insane. I wanted to take another break real quick. We do have a couple other trailers we wanted to get in before the end of the show. So I'm gonna play them back to back. We have Terrifier and Return to Nukem High. Return to Nukem High.
Yeah.
Oh, you're playing Volume 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I know, it's so confusing.
What if that guy
Return to Nukem High, aka
the clown.
Volume 2.
I mean, I remember when Lloyd said it, I'm like, when the hell is this movie? Because I love the first one. And then he's like, yeah, Return to is coming out, and I'm like,
Hey, handsome!
when is it coming out? I was like, I've been waiting for this thing.
Well, they do a lot of the festival stuff. Like I know, like Shakespeare Shitstorm is going to be out to buy for a while. I think they're. Well, I mean, I don't know about now, but I know that Zach was bringing it up because he actually directed some of that. I think, right?
Yeah, he's the AD on it.
And I think he was in drag for some of that.
Yeah, he is. So is Boyd.
Yeah, that's right.
What the hell is wrong with you?
What, did you think he was gonna hack me up into little pieces or something?
Nose blood.
You mean I have to get naked with you in this little thing? What the hell is going on over there? When you fell down from heaven, you're an angel falling from the sky.
We've been mutated, bullied. I got duck raped. What do we have to be afraid of? Tell them everything.
No, we don't.
Unfortunately.
I do know that we are back, and so
all right.
so we just played the trailer for Terrifier and Return to Nukem High, both of which you can find Catherine in. And also, if you check show notes down below or up above, depending on where you're watching or listening to us, you'll find all the links for all the stuff we're talking about tonight, including where you can find her reading children's books in adult method.
Just on my Instagram. It's nothing like crazy, but I love that people love it.
Well, sooner or later, it's gonna, take off, and then you're gonna have like a TV special reading with Catherine kind of deal.
I've gotten some cool press, which I was not expecting. But like we were talking about, horror fans are awesome. The community is awesome. So, hey, thank you guys. Thank you.
I mean, that's where I don't want to say I had the courage to ask you to come on. I kind of throw it out to. We try to let people know about indie film as much as we can, just because so many good movies are not seen, and it's one of those things where people are clamoring for stuff, and I'm like, they're here. You just gotta open your eyes, do a little research, open your eyes.
Is there's so many of them now? There's streaming stuff. There's so much different stuff. I missed a ton of things, and there's movies that I want to see, but I'm like, I have this other list of movies that I've already set aside to see, and I'm like, I have ones I have to do reviews of, and blah blah blah, whatever. So it's like,
well, the universe has given you some time, Kevin.
but I'm still working 40 hours a week. So I'm
But
still
it's
working.
speaking of that, now Terrifier. We're talking about how big that got. Trauma. We all know Trauma, but Long Lost, I must say, on Amazon Prime is one that I think a lot of people should see, because I think that's where, with the two, Terrifier is different than that, but Long Lost, I think your acting chops come out like 100%, because it's just one of those movies I was watching. I'm like, it catches you, and you have to watch the whole thing to like see what's going on. It wraps you in the story, especially your character. It wrapped me in the story. I'm just like, what's gonna happen? Like, is there like, where's this payoff coming? Like, it's just one of those movies that it catches your attention. So I think Long Lost, was it a little bit different for you, like doing the other movies that you've done, or is it just like an everyday thing?
Yeah, I mean, I love that film. I really do. To this day, it's one of my favorite projects that I've ever worked on. And I love that whole team. Like, I could go on and on and on. But yeah, it was different. It was different for a variety of reasons. I got brought on to that project actually because Nick Tucci, who plays
Richard.
Yeah, I don't want to give anything away. Which Richard came up to me at the Lincoln Center screening of Terrifier, and he had apparently seen a couple of the films I've done. He's got a really strong horror presence, and he was like, I have this script that I'd like you to check out. And I was like, yeah, okay. I wasn't thinking much on it. I was on a pilot at the time that was like kind of crazy in development, and like I wasn't really thinking much of it. And I read for it, and I read the script, and I remember thinking, this is either going to be crazy bad or brilliant. Like, it was like, because like it really mattered how it was executed, and I was just so lucky that they brought me on, and our director Eric Bloomquist really trusted our judgment as actors, but also kind of encouraged me to trust myself and my stillness a bit. I think when you work in a lot of horror, a lot of genre, or even like comedy things, like it's kind of big, and you, especially when as a young actor, you're constantly feeling like you have to give and give and give. And he taught me how to kind of reel that in and be present and engaged without overdoing it or feeling like I had to overdo it, That was really feeling like I had to, I think, was the big thing. And yeah, I mean, that was just magic, that entire production. We did that film in 10 days.
What?
Yeah, we filmed that in 10 days.
Wow. I do have to say, like, the cast, it's very small, but everyone is fantastic in it. Especially Nicholas. He is not only like a ridiculous prick in this movie, but like as we're watching a movie, I'm just like, I'm so glad I don't have a big brother. I'm just so glad. I'm like, because this is how it would be, and I wouldn't like it. And like, he's just like, oh my god, like, is this guy for real? Like, it's just, but he's part of the reason my wife was hiding his face, or hiding her face. So it's just, just like, I don't know.
He was by far the most brilliant actor and one of the best people I have ever had the opportunity to know or work with. Like, unbelievable actor. And I think that shows through in that movie. And I think all of us felt that that enthusiasm, and also from Eric. And when you're working, like, I kind of like what we talked about with Newcomb High, is like when you're working on a project that everybody believes in and is so excited about, the energy is just really contagious. And I think it really shows through in that film. I mean, I remember like so many of it, like we would be we would be off the clock at night, and we would be sitting, you know, like having beers all together as like a cast or crew, and like reading the script at night and blocking it out and running things and be like, okay, oh, and what if we do this, and what if we throw it? Like we just had so much fun with it in ways that like it just doesn't happen, and even on like big projects that just does not happen. And it just shows through. So by the time like we got to set every day, we had played so much already that it was just kind of like effortless. And I've never had a group of people where it was so effortless. Like if I could make films with those people every day for the rest of my life, I would. It was just, you didn't even have to try. And I think there's just something in that kind of passion for storytelling that really shines through in that piece.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm really glad that people are like rediscovering it a little bit right now. It's been really cool to see and get feedback.
And so yeah, like I said, it's a very small cast. So besides yourself and Nicholas Tucci, you have, was it Adam Wepler, and then Franz Kranz, which it makes me feel like I'm saying it wrong, but he and in I said Franz, didn't I?
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm turning into Leo slowly, but so a lot of people know him from Cabin in the Woods, but also my wife was all excited because he was in Dollhouse, and we watched that, you know, earlier in our relationship, obviously. But so she's like, "Oh my God, I love him." So I'm like, she's like, "Where is he? Where is he?" Like the whole time, I'm like, "Calm down. He's on the." Yeah.
That is the question I think we all have. Where is Fran? We're always searching.
But you were saying that you read the script and you didn't know, because there was some scenes in that movie where I was just like, what am I watching? Kind of, let's just say, with the marshmallows. I was just like, I don't know why I'm enjoying this scene so much, but I'm enjoying it.
Well, I think that scene in particular is like so cool. It's so like and what Eric and Carson Bloomquist, who also wrote the film, what they do really well is they kind of play with the idea of brothers and childhood. So if you notice, like throughout the film, that's what kind of makes it extra creepy, is everything they're doing are just like childhood games.
Yeah.
You know? So like obviously there's like the metaphor, without giving too much away, for the larger game that's at play there, but and the more like sick kind of twisted game that's at play. But I think the nuances of the little games they're playing throughout really shine through, and that's why like those scenes like are so memorable, because it's like you're laughing but you're also so unsettled at the same time, and that's a really difficult line to straddle, you know, and to toe and to do it effectively, because like I said, it can go one way or the other, you know. It's either gonna land and it's gonna rock and it's gonna be awesome, or it's just not. You know. And I think this film does, and it's been so cool to watch it do. It's like its festival run, and to see the feedback, you know, we've gotten from it, and the enthusiasm about it, and you know, now that it is available for people to stream in their homes, like this kind of new wave of like excitement about it, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. And I'm, as it sounds like with Tony and myself, we obviously definitely both recommend it quite a bit. I know Leo didn't get a chance to check it out, but I think you should.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I think you would enjoy it. It's not like a typical like gore fest horror movie. It's more suspense and like what the hell's gonna happen kind of thing. Like it's a completely different genre. He's not a big gore guy, but that's
then I think this is perfect. People don't even call it. We weren't even sure if the horror trades were going to pick it up, because we weren't, when we were making it, we were like, we're not making a horror movie. This is
right. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's more like a psychological thriller, but it just kind of has all these elements to it that like, and I think that's why I think it's taken people a little bit longer to discover it. Mm-hmm. My theory is that people are like, I don't know where to put this.
Right.
You know?
One thing too is, while watching a movie, there was so many times I'm like we watch so many movies, we try to figure out what's going to happen next. Mm-hmm. You know, so you're assuming like, okay, this is going to happen, and then it doesn't. And you're like, all right, well, maybe this will happen, and then it doesn't. It's something different. You know, so it's like, that's good. It's good when you're wrong. You know, when
I don't think anyone one really saw it coming. And like
No.
the layers on layers at like being an actor and doing this, like it's one of those films that you want to watch again for like the little nuggets, you know, and the little tells, which are just like so fun. Like, and like we had fun putting those in, you know. And a lot of times we'd shoot things and be like, all right, let's try it this way. Maybe we'll throw this little nugget in, you know. But also, it's worth watching, I think, too, for the cinematography. Like Thompson, our DP on that, is masterful. There are so many long oneers, which like people talk about, like the True Detective oneer. Like I don't know, Thompson with that kind of budget would give them a run for his money. We do like I think it's like a 9-minute like oneer with him, which I mean it's not nearly as complex as that, but it has this like really beautiful like artistry and like kind of voyeuristic nature to it, and like he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. It's just a great team.
And it's one that I would watch again. And is it available for physical media, Tony? I know
no, because at that point I would have had it. But there are other movies that Catherine. So I got the two.
I was just talking to Eric about the physical, the Blu-ray and DVD, and what we're going to do for that. So stay tuned. It's coming.
As you can tell, we're fans of it. So
I love it. I love like I feel like I don't know. There needs to be like a better ways to display or like art installations for collectors like you guys, because like some of the work you guys have and like movie posters and DVD covers, it's kind of a dying art now with like the industry.
I mean that's what I mean. Blockbuster, walking into Blockbuster and being able to pick they're like, I mean, looks could be deceiving too, because there's been so many movies that I pick up. I'm like, this is the best artwork I've ever seen. I pop the movie in and I'm like, the hell did I just watch? But it's one of those deals where it's just, you know, a dying art. I mean, so many people are like, oh, I miss those days of going into a rental store, picking up. I just have, you know, the thing of physical copies, being able to pick it up, open it up, like look at stuff, and then put it in. So, I don't know.
Also, I mean, Lloyd will talk about this a lot, but I think that's also kind of what's changed for indie filmmakers in general too, is that, you know, when you had Blockbuster and things, all things were created equal. Like you had these big chains, but you also had all these independent retailers, and you could go in, you could see something on the shelf and be like, oh wow, this is so, I didn't know what this was. What is this? So cool. You might rent something or check something out just because of the cover alone. And now that's not really the case. I mean, I think the statistic is like 90% of what we read, watch, and listen to is owned by 6 major media companies, which is just crazy. So it's like, and so then when you fall into that category that isn't owned by these larger subsidiaries, you know, it's really hard to make your voice heard. And that's why it's super important right now to watch all the things that you can, that you have been meaning to watch, because the festival circuits, at least for film, is really how everyone in the indie world gets their work out there, and that's not available to us right now. So
actually, they're talking about some festivals going virtual.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting.
I would be all about that, because I'm not in an area where there's like always all these festivals and stuff. So I'd be all about that.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And there's so many things I'm like, oh, I'll read about it like in the trades and like, oh, I can't wait to check that out. And then like it doesn't have a great marketing campaign, or like for whatever reason, whoever distributes it, like it doesn't become the top of their roster or whatever. And I'm like, never see it, because I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta remember to look for that, and then it just flies on the radar. So hopefully it makes it a little bit easier to see films too.
Totally.
So I was gonna say we're at the a little over the hour mark. Definitely go check out. I'm why am I forgetting? Long Lost. Go check out Long Lost. I just did, and check out Terrifier, Return to Nukem High, Return to Nukem High, aka Volume 2. And what else do you have coming out? Like, you know, you obviously work quite a bit. What else do you have in the works?
Right now I'm in development on 2 series, one of which I created myself, which I wrote. It's a larger team, but I wrote it, and or at least the pilot episode. So I'm really excited about that. We're in pre-pro on that, and now we're still working on it, which is kind of nice. We're at that stage where we can still get a lot done. But we're not in production yet. I go in production this summer on a film or a mini series called Mat Rats, which is not horror. It's a true story based on this young mother that I play and her son, who is a child wrestling prodigy, which is really cool. It actually takes place in South Jersey, and has a really cool team that I know because I worked on this horror film called 100 Acres of Hell with them that just came out. And so it has it has Ernie O'Donnell from Clerks, and a lot of the team from Clerks and Comic Book Men are involved in it, which is really exciting. We'll probably have some interesting pro wrestler cameos, some WWE superstars, so that'll be cool. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I've got a couple other things in the works I can't really talk about.
Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm excited. I'm excited for. I'm enjoying the break, but I'm excited for things to get rolling again.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious.
Hopefully sooner than later.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's stuff for me, and I'll keep you guys updated when I got some cool stuff. Maybe you'll have me. I'll come back. We'll talk.
Definitely. Yeah, Leo.
Yeah, totally. So I want to urge you to definitely check out the show notes down below or up above, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. You'll find a bunch of links there where you can actually watch Long Lost right now on Amazon Prime. There's a link right there. And also definitely check out Terrifier and Nukem High, Return to Nukem High, Return to Nukem High. And I want to thank you all for watching. Head on over to thedorkening.com for more shows like this. You can find over 20 shows on our network now. And Catherine, where do you like people following you?
I'm on all the socials, but I'm most active on my Instagram. So my Instagram is InstaCatherineC with a C. I spell my name with a C. And then, but I'm on Twitter, Catherine Corcoran. My Facebook page is Catherine Corcoran, and my website is www.catherinecorcoran.info.
Awesome. And we got all those links down below. Tony.
You can find me at Tony Has Nine Fingers on YouTube, where I do movie reviews and such, talking about, ways of getting, movies out there. I did a lesser known horror titles to check out, whether either on Shudder or Amazon Prime or whatever. So check that video out if you're looking for new movies to watch. I do reviews and unboxings and stuff. You can find me on Tony Has Nine Fingers on Twitter, which I hardly ever use, and Tony's Movies on Instagram, where I show off the movies behind me and watch Catherine read her books and stuff like that.
Do you actually have, and thank you again, that seriously means so much, do you actually have 9 fingers, or is that a Lord?
I screwed up my finger back in high school, and it doesn't straighten, so being Italian, it was they call me Tony Nine Fingers, so kind of took a spin on it. So
I don't know if you're as big a dork as I am, but Frodo, the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, his was bitten off, so I at least still have it. It just doesn't straighten.
Tell people you get it off. Yeah.
You could have had an interaction with Schmeagol,
Yeah, I could.
Nobody knows. This is your life, man. It's your reality. No one knows.
This is true. I gotta come up with a better story than dropping weight on it. So
you were casting the Ring of Doom into the fire, man. That's some heavy shit.
Yep.
I just got a little taller and a little wider, so.
Semantics.
Kevin, where
yes, A Knuckle on Twitter and Instagram every Tuesday night here. I'm also part of Black and White Fright and Secret Underground Hideout, and all of which are on the Dorkening Podcast Network.
Yeah. And for me, just Google Leo Pond. You'll find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. But more importantly, follow our awesome guests here. And check out the other shows on the network. A lot of awesome stuff going on now. And I thank you all for watching this evening. Stay safe, everybody. And we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.